Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's another edition of Restore the Floor. We are live, and the Pistons are alive. A thrilling, almost too similar than game one, 194 win. They still won at the Garden, coming back to the LCA. I'm Stoney. He's Evan Jenkins. And look, I thought they'd lose tonight. I don't care about being wrong as long as they win.
Yeah, and I would say that's a statement game for Cade Cunningham and the Pistons. I mean, boy, did they just pressure the hell out of the Knicks early on and then throughout the entire game. A little bit of a lull there in the fourth quarter. That was only because they weren't scoring themselves. But anytime the Knicks made a run, the Pistons just answered right back, whether it was a foul or a big-time shot of their own. And then, of course, Dennis Schroeder just steps up like we all expected, of course, right? And scores 20 points and hits a dagger three at the end.
Yeah, well, what's crazy and about this? Are you still seeing me, by the way?
Oh yes, Tony, you're there.
Oh, okay. I don't know why that went away. Here's the deal: they played and win a game 6 for 27 from the three. Beasley was terrible, and they still managed to win. Kudos to, like you mentioned, Schroeder and obviously Cade. We'll get to him in a second, but. Hey, the Paul Reed experience. He made a couple of really big baskets, and when they needed him, Duran played a really good game. And despite getting into foul trouble a little early, you can't complain about the whistle because the Pistons went to the line so much. But just when you thought, especially like when McBride hit that bank shot, when the shot clock was expiring, I said, "Oh my God, that's going to be trouble," because it cut it to 6 And the Pistons, after Reed's second basket, they went into a field goal drought where they couldn't score. And they started making turnovers, and Tobias looking like Tobias of the past. He didn't want the ball. I mean, it just had all the recipe, but their defense never wavered, Evan. And that's what won them this basketball game besides Cunningham.
No, their defense was great, and they made the Knicks play one-on-one. And it was incredible to see what they did to Brunson, even though Brunson still went off. He had, 30-some-odd points and
37 points.
But think about how much they did to him to keep him contained and keep him boxed in and to keep him frustrated is what I saw was the most important part. The fact that the Knicks didn't shoot a free throw until the end of the first half.
Yeah.
And then Brunson had majority of them for the team. And you mentioned Paul Reed. He led the team in plus minus at plus 13. He was all over the place out there. It was incredible.
Yeah. And you know what else that, I don't think it'll go into the soft category, but Karl Anthony Towns was
horrible,
somewhat invisible, 5 for 11. Now, sometimes I'll blame that on Thibodeau, who should have set up plays to have him take advantage of height mismatches, but he really didn't get down low enough, and that was a big part of the game, I thought.
Yeah, they didn't run any plays at all. It looked like all one-on-one basketball, and I'll be honest, it changed my opinion on this series. If this is how the Pistons are going to play and that's how the Knicks are going to try to do things offensively, then I would totally change my opinion and think the Pistons can win this series, because what I saw from the Knicks today was one-on-one hero ball, and the only reason they were back in that game was that 5-minute stretch in the fourth quarter where the Pistons couldn't score a field goal, but even then they had a big enough lead. I mean, Stoney, they controlled the game right from the rip. Cade was assertive. Even think about Cade. He had 4 turnovers in the first 5 minutes of the ball game and finished with 5 turnovers total for the entire game. Yeah, he was the best player on the floor.
He did not score, I don't believe, a field goal in the fourth quarter, but he had the free throws. He had he had about 4 free throws, and he had the great pass to Duran for the alley-oop. But he was unbelievable the rest of the game too. The behind the back move, and it goes in for the dunk. That was really beautiful to watch. And yeah, they made a huge statement, and they did it defensively. And look, they still, I know it's easier said than done, but they almost lost the game because they kept buying the Jalen Brunson shot fakes again. I mean, Tobias had one, Asar had one, and they were legitimate calls.
Yeah, absolutely. Asar, you could see how frustrated he was throughout the game. Just all the foul calls that he was getting, and they were fouls. I mean, whether you want to say they're ticky-tack or not, but I mean, obviously the fouls favored the Pistons tonight, and the rebounding favored the Pistons. They out-rebounded the Knicks by 11, 12 rebounds.
Yeah.
And the one thing I really liked about the Pistons defensively is they kept forcing the Knicks to go baseline. And every time they went baseline, except for very early on in the game, it was a turnover. They would leave their feet and throw the ball to an empty spot on the floor. And it was very refreshing to see because they didn't freak out after that game one loss, and they came right out looking to prove a point. And
Right.
it almost looked like the Knicks were overconfident and they were saying, oh, we can do this one-on-one, but they never changed course the entire game.
And to do it without Beef Stew is very impressive defensively. Look, we know what he is offensively right now, but that's okay. And I give Duran credit, and Paul Reed did nice work. And, we mentioned the three-point shots, how poorly they were for both teams, really. The Pistons shot 22% from three, the Knicks 28%. And you mentioned free throws. The Pistons 34 free throws, the Knicks only 19. And I know that's going to be a big thing probably in the New York papers and stuff like that. But when you look at the total fouls, Evan, it was only 24 free throws, 24 fouls for the Pistons. The Pistons actually committed more fouls than the Knicks. 24 for the Pistons, 22 for the Knicks.
Yeah. And you think about too, Stoney, is just the difference from game one to game two. And you look at the heroes for the Knicks. Cameron Payne played 4 minutes in the first half, and right. I think he had 3 or 4 fouls right off the rip. And their bench was obsolete. Mitchell Robinson plays 20 minutes, has 7 boards, no points. I mean, he was nothing out there. McBride, he made a couple threes there in that game. But the Pistons bench was so much better than the Knicks from start to end, and that goes a lot to Paul Reed, and I like the shortening of the Pistons bench as well. Yes, you think about Schroeder playing 29 minutes, and I think that role's only going to increase going forward with the way he's being able to handle the ball and let Cade to be off the ball a little bit as well.
And part of that is because Tim Hardaway Jr. couldn't buy a bucket. He was 0 for 8. He did not score. When your starting shooting guard does not score, that's usually not a good sign. But Schroeder came in, did his deal, 6 for 10, 3 for 5 from 3. Beasley obviously didn't shoot good from the 3 either, at 2 for 9. So, man, it's so nice to see. And the resilience of this team, what they are, and they play their asses off. They really did. And when it got tight at the end again, they managed to come through, and that's all. That's huge for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And they kept the Madison Square Garden crowd out of it. Anytime they got into it, especially late, they came back and they answered, and they put their foot on their throat and they said, we're going to take this game. And that's what I think was the most impressive about it, because everything had another collapse written on it down the stretch there, and the Pistons came out resilient.
And you mentioned the bench, and with good reason. Although only 3 bench guys scored of the 5 that played a decent amount of minutes, or the 4 that played. Reed had 6. Beasley just 9, but like we said, Schroeder had 20. And for the Knicks, their bench had 8 points, and it was all Deuce McBride. Nobody else scored from their bench. Mitchell Robinson, like you mentioned. And Payne and Shamet played a little bit at the, but that's it. They didn't use their bench. And the Knicks are fortunate that there's going to be 2 days of rest before the LCA game, because I think Jalen Brunson, he still looks like a freaking Superman, but he needs some rest. There's no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was their bugaboo all year, was the fact that Thibodeau would play the starters way, way too many minutes. And then you get down to this fact of the matter that Jalen Brunson is leaving every game in the fourth quarter to get his ankle taped, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But he's done it the first 2 games. He's had to leave in the fourth quarter in the most critical spots. You can't have that guy off the floor. Now it didn't hurt him in this game because they managed to get a turnover. That's when Tobias couldn't handle that pass from Cunningham in the 24-second. And even that, I was like, oh my God, this is how it ends, huh?
Yeah. And Tobias, as much as he didn't want the ball at the end, he still ended up with a double-double. He did have 13 rebounds, which he usually doesn't get that in the rebounding. I just don't think they took advantage of the mismatches with him in the second half in particular.
What, Tobias on the offensive end?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he could have way more of a post present, but I mean, that's just not the game that they're playing. But if you think about it, the whole first half was inside basketball. And nobody was making a 3, and it was all a down low presence. And say what you want about Jalen Duren, he might have had a rough game in the game one, but here in game two, even that alley-oop that he had, oh my God, how clutch was that for this team?
Oh, they
when
needed that.
Everything was going against them.
Yep, 12 points, 13 rebounds for Jalen Duren. And it's good. We have ourselves a series, and the streak is over, which is huge for them. Obviously these guys weren't part of, any of the other losses, but it's good. People don't have to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, and it's good for the city, and you got to think that Thursday night's going to be wild downtown Detroit. You got the draft going on. The Lions aren't going to pick till later, so you got to think that all eyes are going to be on that Pistons game. So, I mean, it's good for them. It's good for LCA. It's good for the city. Everybody's going to be pumped. And I'll be honest, you kind of got to expect the Pistons to win Game 3, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes in those situations, though, you get so excited playing at home that you don't get off to a good start. And, I'm not going to worry about Thursday right now. It's Monday night, and the Pistons, yes, Evan, have won a playoff game. There are kids,
good, right?
There are kids that are 16 years old who've never seen the Pistons win a playoff game. Right?
You know what I like?
Correct? 2008, yeah, right?
Well, yeah, 15.
That was the last time they won a playoff game.
Yeah, it was 2008. Stoney, what I love the most about it is that we got Mike Breen game 1, you got Ian Eagle game 2, and then you're
with Grant Hill.
Yep, and then you're going to get Kevin Harlan game 3. So you couldn't want anything more from a basketball fan to get the 3 best announcers in the game to call your games.
Right.
I mean, due respect to George Blas, still calling it the Mark champion on 97.1, but
yeah,
I mean, it's great to hear those national announcers call the Pistons game. You just don't hear it. We didn't hear it at all this year.
I know. So, look, I'm sure a lot of the people who are watching this right now were watching the game on FanDuel Sports Network, Detroit, with George and Greg, and that's fine. That's great. I just, like you, it's not a, diss to them. I just love hearing what the national people have to say about our basketball team.
Yeah, but it's a lot like college basketball with Grant Hill. You can tell he really doesn't watch a lot. When he was like, "Oh, I'm sure Rick Mahorn's watching somewhere," I'm like, "Dude, I'm pretty sure he's in the arena with you watching the game."
I would think so. But it's interesting. At least he did point out, though. He says, "This is the first time I've seen them live."
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and that's what's kind of funny about it is because they all parachute in, and sometimes you're like, "What are you talking about?" But it's good to see them, and they got their praise. You know what? You can say what you want about them being biased towards the Knicks and everything. No, Cade Cunningham got his due, and this is what I wanted, Stoney. I said to be on the national stage at the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. You got every celeb in the house.
Yeah,
everyone was there. You see 50 Cent and Fat Joe sitting right behind the coaches. It's like everywhere you look, there's a celebrity there, and he's getting his shine, and good for him.
And I don't think Ben Stiller's too happy tonight. I don't think he's going to sleep well, although he does have a nice, bank account. So, yeah. But he was, a lot of those Knick fans, I'll give some of them, look, obviously some of them just go to be seen. But there are some guys like Spike Lee, like Ben Stiller, who have been, and McEnroe, they've been lifelong Knick fans their whole life. So that's cool for them. So, yeah, it's just nice. It feels good to have a playoff win.
Absolutely. And then so Thursday, I think your mission is you're going to find Spike Lee. You're going to get him on the next episode of Restore the Floor.
I'm not gonna be at the game Thursday. I'm gonna be watching here. Yes.
Oh my goodness, Stoney. Okay, well then Sunday you got to get Spike Lee or some famous Knick to come on this damn podcast. Or Allen Houston is in.
I will try.
Okay. Good. But Stoney, so I think going forward, it's completely changed my mind. I think anybody that doubted the Pistons or thought that the Knicks would kind of run away with this, especially after watching game 1, your opinion has changed. And I'm excited for game 3, and I expect to win, like I said earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see what the point spread is.
You got to think the Pistons would be favored by what, like 2.5 maybe?
Yeah, well, it depends whether, that New York money. I mean, I live bet the Knicks when they were making their run plus 4.5, and the last foul at the end screwed me.
Oh, wow. That's why you came down all huffing and puffing.
No,
and you're like, I got to watch it to the last second. Who knew that you had money on that?
That's right. A little $10,
They probably took a bath tonight. Like I said, I mean, right from the get-go, Stoney, it was just so damn impressive to see him come out of the box like that. And that defense, man, was just stifling. And the fact they went there and watched video after game one, I don't know if you read all that,
Yeah.
that they instantly had a video session. I think they took that to heart and they learned and they put it out there on the floor. So let's go to game 3 at LCA and get pumped.
Absolutely. It's going to be great. And look, I'm sure tomorrow morning, Jim Costa will be, chirping at Valenti and a little bit of me because, that's what people do in our business. I said the Knicks will win in 5. I would be stunned if they won in 5 now. I don't think they're winning both at LCA, even if they win this series. So it's good. I love being wrong when it helps the home team.
Exactly. And it's okay. I mean, you look
I'm
at
a
it
fan. Yes.
Exactly.
I mean, the guy who I thought was the MVP on Saturday, OG, he really didn't do much till the, fourth quarter. He played pretty well, but offensively, he was still really good defensively. The question is going to be that they're going to ask in New York about was why wasn't Towns more down low? But, that's their problem.
No, Towns was very assertive early on, and then he just kind of he disappeared. He didn't play a lot of minutes like you thought he would. Mitchell Robinson played a lot of those minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Without Stewart out there, that probably changed their lineup. Let's be honest, because the Pistons went small the entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We thank everybody for listening. We will be with you after game 4 because Thursday night we have to do a draft thing that's going to be going on that you can watch here on YouTube as well. Twitch and all those places. And well, since the Pistons game will be over before the Lions pick, we will probably have some comments during the draft show about the Pistons as well.
I'm sure there's a good chance of that, Stone.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Thanks a lot. It's 1-1. Go Pistons.